tell us exactly what you found.
There were two finds that are reported on in this instance. The biggest one definitely was coming out of Cultura Colectiva, a Mexican media conglomerate of some sort. And it contained, as you said, over 540 million rows in this database that had records, lots and lots of fields for each one. Things like Facebook likes, Facebook reactions, Facebook friends, Facebook comments, as well as the responses to them. The same type of data that was used to create the psychographic profiles that Cambridge Analytica was in so much trouble for.
So there's a second instance you talk about, another third-party developer, 22,000 records there, so much smaller, but also these were users' passwords.
Yeah, plain text passwords, not even hashed, encrypted, encoded of any sort, just right there for anyone to see and use. And while they weren't the same thing as somebody's Facebook password, the chances of somebody reusing the same password is pretty high.
So, Tom, give us the bigger picture here. Obviously, there are multiple different parties involved. There's Facebook, there's these third parties, and let's be clear, Facebook granted access to these third parties, to this data for many, many, many years, and only after Cambridge Analytica started to do an investigation into how exactly these third parties were handling the data. Then there's also Amazon. Right. And the third parties themselves.
Right, exactly. There's multiple parties here. We know that as Facebook has become more and more aware of the fact that this data, sort of they lost track of the data after it left their premises, they have tried to crack down, but clearly there's a lot of it out there. My question is, first of all, how much more is there? And two, what's the responsibility of the cloud services providers like Amazon Web Services in helping shore up this data and keep it from getting out into the public?
Well, to answer the first question, there's a lot more of it out there, a whole lot more of it out there. We are just scraping the surface of unsecured data out there on the cloud, available for anyone with an internet connection to connect and access, download, whatever. Where the responsibility lies is a little bit of an open question still. Companies like Amazon Web Services push a narrative of a shared responsibility model where they are responsible for the hardware, the physical security, having the security guards watch the actual servers itself. And then it's up to the other people, the ones that are paying to store the data, to correctly configure their storage instances and make sure that anybody on the internet can't access it. Now, that may change as things like GDPR, the European crackdown on privacy invasive stuff, start to go into effect. But it's still up in the air. The law isn't exactly settled in that arena.
So Facebook did give us a statement saying Facebook's policies prohibit storing Facebook information in a public database. Once alerted to the issue, we work with Amazon to take down the databases. We're committed to working with the developers on our platform to protect people's data. Now, Chris, how easy was this to find? How long did it take you to find this data?
All it took was using a keyword called data lake, because the name of the bucket was cc-data lake. So as soon as I started searching for the keyword data lake, the combination of cc comes up pretty fast. And then it said something's here. I checked it out and I was like, oh my God, there's a lot of stuff here. So it was not very difficult at all.
So really, we have no idea how many other instances there could be of this, correct?
This type of thing, this is a fairly large, on the scale of things, this was a fairly large find, but the number of fairly large finds out there could be very large itself.
I'm interested in this question of your interaction with Amazon, because you talked to them for a while, and you talked about this a little bit in your posting. You had contact with them. What was that like, and how did they respond when you told them, hey, here's what we're finding on your servers?
Well, I first notified them near the beginning of February, and they told me the bucket owner had been notified that there was an issue.
And the bucket owner here is?
Well, we still don't have absolute confirmation. We're assuming it's coming from Cultura Colectiva, that they are in control of the bucket, but they still have not issued a comment confirming that 100%. But it does stem from their systems.
So are you going to keep looking for this kind of data?
It's part of what UpGuard does, yes.
Mm-hmm. So tell us about the process. And I know you probably don't share too much about your process, but what can you tell us?
Well, yeah, it is a little bit of the secret sauce in business sense. I don't want to give away too much of our proprietary systems that we use, but it's basically the same as somebody knowing where cloud data is stored and guessing at keywords to figure out if something's there, and then checking to see if it's publicly accessible. And it's really easy to automate and do on a mass scale.
Now, there's a bigger picture issue here, which is that many companies are now storing their data on public clouds, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, and there could be other companies that have the same problem, right?
There are, and there are going to be more big discoveries. Yes, that it is a bigger than people realize problem.
Is Facebook has said that they're going to give rewards for researchers who find certain bugs. Is that the case here? Like, are you going to get a reward from Facebook?
Well, they do offer bug bounties, but UpGuard doesn't really, it gets into a weird territory if we're hunting down this stuff and then we try to make money directly from a company that had an issue or is related to that. That's too close to a gray area. We don't accept bug bounties like that, and if we ever were offered it, we'd give it to charity. That's not something we're involved with.
My question is, what can and should Facebook do? And secondly, what's the responsibility of the Amazon Web Services out there in the world?
Facebook needs to fundamentally change their business practices. Basically, they've enabled a lot of data to get out to a lot of places and have lost control of it. There's going to be major restructuring necessary to fix it. The responsibility of something like Amazon, I would hope that when they were notified, they would have taken more steps to close it off. Like I said, we first notified them at the beginning of February, and here we are in the beginning of April, and it was just shut down this morning.
And that wasn't until we contacted Facebook and Facebook contacted them.
Exactly.
Should they have acted sooner?
In my opinion, yes, they should have. When I told them exactly what it was, they should have acted more strongly to get it shut down.
Now, is it even possible for Facebook to get control of all this data now, after the fact, after years of having this policy of giving this data away to third-party researchers, third-party developers?
No, I don't think it's possible at this point. The genie is too far out of the bottle. It's ingrained in too many other systems.
So what's next?
If you ask me, regulation with teeth is the next step, and actual enforcement.